Hello everyone, this is the lecture number 2 of Introduction to Python Programming. In this lecture, we will look at the conditional sentences, how the control flow of the conditional sentences work, and how the conditions executes. So this is our practice questions. We will look at these in the last. So let's begin our presentation with introduction. The conditional statements allow you to control the flow of your program based on the certain conditions. In Python, the primary conditional statements are if conditions, elif conditions, and else condition. The basic structure of the conditional statements in Python is as follows: first condition, elif condition, and then else condition. The control flow of these conditions is pretty simple. Basically, the if statements allow you to execute a block of code if a certain condition is true. The elif statement is the short form of else if, and it allows you to check multiple conditions and it will print the block according to the condition. If the condition is true, the code block under this statement will be executed. When all preceding conditions in if and elif statements are false, then at the last the else statement will be executed. The block that will in the else statement will be executed. So here is an example of the else elif statement. So why don't we move towards the VS code and let's understand how these conditions executes and how the control flow actually work. Let's move to the VS code. So this is our VS code, and let's first make the file known as conditions. So let's make file code conditions.py. This is the easiest way to make the file in VS code. So after making the file, let's execute some conditions. First, use a user variable for the input. Here I write many things for the input in inverted commas. So I give int variable for the condition because I want user to enter the integers. When we execute the program with the conditional statements, the program evaluates the condition one by one, starting from the if statement and ends with the else. So this is our first statement, if statement, that if user enter number that is greater than 0, then it will print the output that your number is positive. If user enters number that is less than 0, then it will show the output on the screen that your number is negative. And if user enters 0, then it will definitely show the output that your number is 0. So these are some pretty simple example, and because these are the basic example we will have for the introduction. So let's first take the basic example. Let's understand the basic one, then we will move towards the advanced. We will discuss some intermediate level problems in the next video. In fact, we will discuss in this video one intermediate level problem and try to solve it and understand it, what's the code structure and how different conditions are executed. Here at the last, the else statement. It serves as a default block of code to be executed when all preceding conditions in if and elif statements are false. It is optional and doesn't require a condition to be specified. Here is the syntax: else and print the block that the output you entered is 0. Let's run our program. Here python conditions.py. Here it asks for the number. Here let's say positive number. The number is positive. Let's rerun our program, and this time we will enter the negative number, and let's see what happens. Let's write our negative number here. Here as you have seen that your number is negative, then write a 0 so that the final answer, it should be that the last block. Here as you have seen the number you have entered is 0. So our program runs successfully. So let's move towards the next practice question so that we will understand these conditions more. Thank you very much. So let's move towards our next problem, but let's comment it out. So here, this is the multiple line comments at the start and at the end. So this is the example that we have solved. Let's now move towards the brief introduction to each logical operator. The logical operators are three: and, or, and nots, and these are the logical operators used to perform logical operations on Boolean values or expressions. A Boolean expression is an expression that evaluates to either true or false. We will discuss this later, but let's first focus on the and, or, and not expression. The AND operator returns true if both conditions on its left and right are true. The OR operator returns if at least one condition is true. And the NOT operator is used to negate the truth value of condition. It returns true if the condition is false, and vice versa. Let's first move towards our practical example of AND, OR, and NOT logical expressions. Here I take two values x and y and initialize the two numbers 5 and 10. But let's check for the AND logical operator. Here I give condition if x is greater than 0 and y is less than 10. Print your both conditions are true. Here the as I have told you guys that the AND condition gives output true when both conditions are true. And in this case our both conditions are true. That's why it will give the output your both conditions are true. So let's check the case for the OR condition. But remember, OR condition gives the output when only one condition is true. Maybe your second condition can be true or not be true. It's all up to you. So be careful while using the OR condition. It will print only if one condition is true. So here I make the one condition true and the other condition is false. X is greater than 0, this condition is true, but y is greater than 12, this condition is false. But this time the print statement says that the condition is true and it will print because our one condition is true. So let's check, run our program and let's check what happens. But first comment the above statement so that our program will run correctly. Here it prints that the condition is true just because the value of x is 5, that is greater than 0. But let's check these conditions, the OR condition with AND logical operator. Let's change the conditions. Y is greater than 10. It will print nothing just because the one condition is true and the other is false. And the AND will print the statement if both conditions are true. So here, as you've guys seen that it prints nothing. So let's move for the not logical operator. Here is the condition for not statement. If x not equals to 5, print x is not 5. But first let's change the default value of x. Let's make it 7 and print. As you've guys seen that it prints successfully and the answer on the screen is x is not 5. You can do not with the list. If x is not in the list, you can pass the list of multiple statements or multiple values and it will execute the list, and you can check whether your variable the variable you want is in the list or not. This is the best example for the not get. It will show an error because I write is. Let's correct. I didn't give inverted commas. The values in the list should be in inverted commas, otherwise it will show an error. Oh, it will show again an error. What? Oh, this time is error is is the error and I didn't correct it. So let's correct it. X not in. Here it gives X is not 5. So I didn't pass the 5 in the list. So that's why it will show an error X is not 5. So these are the logical operators and or and not. We will discuss these on later on our videos for loop. So we will understand it better. So let's move towards the another example, that is the intermediate level example, and it tells that the convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. So this is our question for converting the temperature in Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let's start with the temperature variable, which is responsible to take the input from user and then convert it into the Celsius or Fahrenheit what user wants you to convert. So remember one thing, when you write anything that comes on the screen for user, then write it in such a way that the other person like your work. I told you guys in the previous videos that remember one thing, when you write code, make sure to give comments for the understanding of the third party or the one who read your codes. It makes good impression on the other. So here I write the enter the temperature that you want to convert, and I give the syntax for the input. Then the input should be in such a way that first you write the integer and then you write the variable for Fahrenheit F and Celsius C. So here I will use the variable degree. It will store the value from a string to an integer, and in it I use the slicing technique. Slicing is used to take the value from the user other than the character. It removes the last character from the string and converts the remaining substring to an integer. So if user write 45f, then it will remove the f and takes 45 as an integer and convert it into Celsius. So that's the reason behind slicing, and we will discuss slicing in other videos. Let's just understand the mechanism of conditional statements, how these conditions execute. So I use here first condition, if temperature dot ends with. If your input here, I wants to know that what my user wants, whether it wants from conversion of Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius. So here I use temperature dot ends with C. First I use the condition for Celsius, then I use the condition for Fahrenheit as well. Here in the result, what I will do, I use the formula for Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion. Let's copy and paste it here for this Fahrenheit and then for the Celsius. So let's rearrange the values. What happened? Here is the formula of conversion Celsius into Fahrenheit. So let's, the other statement is the print. The print block is used to print the final statement that the temperature in Fahrenheit is, and then we use the result. Make sure to write in inverted commas and the result that you want to print exactly, then you will write it outside the inverted commas, but make sure to write comma between both statements and plus sign if you want to add these statements in a one line. Here I use comma and then I write result. Don't write the actual value in inverted commas. If I write result in inverted commas, then it will exactly print the result. I don't want to print the result variable, I just want to print the value that is stored inside the result variable. So after result I use degrees because temperature is in degrees. So here I use elif statement if the temp dot ends with f. F is for Fahrenheit, and it removes the f, the last character, from the input and converts the remaining substring to an integer, as I told you earlier. Then I again use the result variable, and but this time I use the formula for the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. So this is the formula of the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. Let's just print the above statement as it is. Just change the Fahrenheit into Celsius. The temperature is assumed to be the string that represents a temperature value such as 25 degrees or 98 Fahrenheit degrees or anything. But the temp square bracket minus 1 is a slicing operator that extracts all the characters of the temp string except the last one. It effectively removes the unit symbol from the string. This is what we all want to do, so that our answer is correct and it will not mention the string and it will not give any error due to this slashing technique. So this is all our code, and let's run our code and let's see what happened. Oh, it shows an error. What's the error in the code? Let's resolve the issue. Oh, let's first find the error. What's the error? And oops, I didn't give the dot strip function here, which is used to remove the spaces, remove the extra spaces, and make sure to give dot upper, because I give in if and elif statement the capital C and capital F. If the user input small c, the interpreter will execute an error because it's a confusion for the computer whether it's the Celsius C or another C. So let's rerun our code and let's see what happens this time. Oh, this time I make an error. Invalid syntax. Oh, it's an invalid syntax for the slicing. So let's resolve. Oh, I gave the extra brackets for slicing. Let's just remove the extra braces and let's run again, and I hope this time it will not show an error. Oh, that's great. Let's write temperature in Celsius 45 C and it shows an output 113 degrees. So let's check the output on Google and verify that our answer is correct or not, and whether our code works properly or not. So this is our Google conversion table from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Let's write here 45 C, and thanks God our code works properly, and here is the verification. The Google also shows 113. So that's all for the conditional statements. We will discuss more in later videos. Now let's look at the practice problems. So these are the practice questions. There are 4 questions here. Make sure to practice all questions by your own, and if you guys find any difficulty while solving the issue, you can Google it and comment below. I will tell you guys what's the mistake or bug in your code. So make sure to practice all these questions, and these all are basic questions. So make sure to practice, and that's all for today. Thank you very much.